If you've reached the point where you're thinking, I've tried everything, I want to ask you something softly. Have you tried loving yourself in a way that actually holds you? Not performs, not soothes, holds. And if you've been practicing self-love and still wondering why your life doesn't quite feel stable, or why you feel like you're starting over even though you're doing the work, this episode is for the woman who is tired of performing self-love and ready to build a life that actually holds her. Because real self-love doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you steadier. And today we're talking about the kind of self-love that produces results, the kind that you actually want. So let this episode be an invitation to build from the ground up. If this is the kind of conversation you've been craving, go ahead and subscribe. This podcast is for women who take themselves seriously, not rigidly, but intentionally. And the women who get the most out of this space are the ones who stay in it. Okay, so let's get into it. Hey, my beautiful friend. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you are here, not in a you should be here kind of way, but in a your nervous system knew where to land today kind of way. So take a breath, let your shoulders drop. Nothing is wrong with you. We're just getting more rooted today. Whatever led you here today, maybe it's because you've reached that quiet moment where you realize you have tried everything. And if one of my favorite coaches was here, Brendan Burchard would say, whip out the spreadsheet and show me everything that you tried. Because we must have some data to back up this everything that we done tried so we can cross-reference and make sure that we tried everything. But you know that feeling when you've tried so many different things, the plans, the routines, the healing, the rest, and maybe what's missing isn't another strategy, but the foundation you've been building on. If you feel like you've tried everything, the question might not be, what are you missing? But what you're rooted in. This space is for women who are deeply self-aware and deeply ready to stop circling the same patterns. Let's pause for a second because I want to be clear about what I mean when I say self-love. Self-love isn't a vibe, it's not a mindset, and it's not something you get better at by performing. Self-love is the relationship you build with yourself. It's how you treat yourself when no one is watching. It's what you prioritize when your emotions are loud. It's the choices you make on ordinary days. And here's the part that really matters. Self-love is not the reward at the end of healing. It's the foundation everything else grows from. Just like a home doesn't start with decor, it starts with the ground it's built on. Just like a garden doesn't start with blooms, it starts with soil. You don't ask the soil to prove itself. You tend to it, you nurture it, you protect it, because without healthy soil, nothing thrives, no matter how hard you try. Self-love is the foundation that allows you to keep promises to yourself, build consistency without force, respond instead of react, trust yourself even with your bigger dreams, and stay grounded when life applies pressure, friend. Without it, every goal feels heavier, every habit feels harder, every relationship feels more fragile. Not because you're failing, but because you are trying to build on shaky ground. Self-love is what makes effort sustainable. It's what makes growth safe. And here's what we have to stop romanticizing. Self-love isn't dramatic, it's daily. It's in the quiet tending, choosing structure over chaos, choosing devotion over comfort, choosing steadiness over emotional whiplash. Ooh, friend. That emotional whiplash, honey. That's a whole episode for a whole nother day. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being present. When self love becomes the ground you stand on, everything else, from work to dreams to relationships, has something solid to grow from. That's why I'm talking to you about stability, devotion, and we're even going to talk about planned plot twist, because self love isn't what you add to your life, it's what your life is built on. Let's name this one gently. A lot of what we call self love right now is actually self soothing. And listen, there are seasons when that is exactly what you need. But softness without roots doesn't stabilize your life, it just helps you survive it. And so many women are exhausted, not because they aren't loving themselves, but because their version of self love keeps asking their nervous system to improvise every single day. Real self love isn't something you reach for when things fall apart, it's something you've already built. Rooted self love is infrastructure. It looks like rhythms you return to. Like when you get stressed, is there an album or a playlist you put on? And when you take a drive, just to calm yourself down and clear your head. It's in the agreements you keep to yourself. When you honor your word to yourself and maintain healthy boundaries, it's in the standards that don't disappear when emotions rise. The woman who loves herself doesn't ask every day, what do I feel like doing? She has already decided on some things because she cares about her future. Here's a distinction that changes everything. Performative self-love asks, how do I feel right now? And let's not get it twisted, friend. That question matters because your feelings are information. They deserve to be heard. But rooted self-love, it asks a different question. What supports me in the long term? Because if your mood gets to decide what happens every day, friend, your life stays at the mercy of whatever emotion shows up first. And that's not freedom. That's going to lead straight to exhaustion and burnout. So think about it like this. Your emotions are like the weather. Some days it's sunny, stormy. Some days it changes by the hour. You don't cancel your entire life every time it rains. You just grab an umbrella and adjust. You keep moving. Rooted self-love doesn't ask for the weather to be perfect. It builds a house anyway. A house with walls, heat, a house with a roof that doesn't cave in every time a feeling passes through it. That's what structure is, not punishment or perfection. Another way that I really love to see it is your feelings are like passengers, not the driver, okay? They get a seat, they get a voice, but they don't get the steering wheel. Because when they do, that's when we find ourselves later asking Jesus to take the wheel. Because when those emotions drive, you end up starting and stopping your life over and over again, only moving forward on days when you feel motivated, inspired, or even calm. And that's not loving. That's unstable. Self-love that actually holds you says, I see how you feel, and we are still doing what supports us. That's not control, that's safety. It's the difference between a life you constantly have to recover from and a life that supports you even on the hard days. This is not you ignoring your feelings. This is you leading them. And here's the shift that we don't talk about enough. Loving yourself means you stop building your life around your moods and start building it around the kind of days you want to live and love living. Days with rhythm, follow through, days that feel steady, not dramatic, because when your days feel good, your life follows. That's what rooted self-love creates. Not emotional suppression, not hustle, just a solid ground beneath you. So you are not starting from zero every single morning. But let's keep it all the way real, because comfort It's wonderful. Rest matters, and ease has a very important place in your life. But comfort is not what builds the life you desire. Devotion is. Devotion isn't harsh, it's not punishment, it's tending. Think about roots again. Roots aren't glamorous, they are quiet, repetitive, and unseen. No one applauds for them. No one comments on them. When the flowers bloom, no one says, "Oh my gosh, but look at your roots." And yet, without those roots, nothing grows. You don't water roots for applause. You water them because they are committed to what you are building. In your work, comfort says, "I'll do it when I feel inspired." But devotion says, "I'll show up even when it's ordinary." Not because you're forcing yourself, but because the version of you that you are building requires consistency, not just a rare burst of energy. Devotion is opening the laptop on the days when no one is watching. It's refining your craft when it's not exciting anymore. It's choosing integrity over intensity. In your dreams, comfort says, "I'll wait until I feel more confident," while devotion says, "I'll take the step I can take today." Even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, even if it doesn't feel magical yet, because dreams don't respond to wishing, they respond to steady care. Devotion is tending the dream when it's still underground, before there's ever proof it's even working. And even in your relationships, comfort, it avoids conversation, but devotion chooses honesty with care. Comfort stays quiet to keep the peace, while devotion speaks up to build something real. Now, let's be clear. That does not mean this is your green light to be confrontational. It means being present, repairing. It means staying engaged instead of emotionally checking out. Devotion is choosing the long-term health of the relationship over short-term ease. But let's really get deep with it, because comfort asks, what feels easiest right now? And devotion asks, what am I committed to becoming? And here's a part that is so important and matters so much. Devotion doesn't mean you never rest. It means rest supports the life you're building instead of replacing it. Self-love that produces stability chooses devotion, not because it's harder, but because it's truer. Because what we're building deserves care, and so do you. To know me is to know I love me a good plot twist. And most of us think that a plot twist are only things that happen to us. A fight we didn't expect, a season we didn't choose, or a change we did not see coming. Somehow it was not on your bingo card for this year. And yes, life will always have those, but self-love that actually holds you invites a different question. What if some of the plot twists were planned? Not dramatic, not chaotic, intentional. Rooted self-love says, I don't wait for life to force change upon me. I'm allowed to choose it. At work or in your career, a planned plot twist might be deciding this is the year that you stop overfunctioning, changing how you structure your days because burnout chooses for you, or committing to your craft before it's validated. It's not impulsive, it's devoted. In your dreams, a plot twist might be saying yes to the thing you've been circling for years, or letting go of a version of success that never really felt like yours, or choosing consistency over waiting for clarity, because clarity often comes after movement. In your relationships, a plot twist might be choosing honesty before resentment builds, setting a boundary you wish you would have set sooner, deciding to show up differently instead of repeating the same dynamics, not because something is wrong, but because you are committed to what you are building together. Plot twists do not have to be this big production of explosions. Some of the most powerful ones are quiet decisions. I'm going to take myself seriously. I'm going to stop abandoning myself. I'm going to build a life I don't want to escape from. Friend, that is devotion. And self-love isn't about waiting for life to shake you awake. It's about lovingly choosing change before chaos becomes the catalyst. You are allowed to author your next chapter. You don't have to wait for discomfort to justify your growth. You don't have to wait to be laid off or wait for somebody to break up with you. You don't have to wait for a breakdown to make a change. Self-love that actually holds you says, I'm choosing this on purpose. And that choice, that's a plot twist worth planning. Ooh, friend, if you are listening and realizing a lot of your energy goes into second guessing yourself, replaying conversations, questioning decisions, wondering if you handled something the right way, you are not alone and you are not broken. What usually gets labeled as a confidence issue is really just living in your head far too long without support. And it's exhausting. If you are ready to step out of the loop and start choosing from self-love instead of fear, the main character momentum builder supports that exact shift. It helps you slow things down, reconnect with yourself, and move forward with clarity instead of constant self-doubt. It's there for you the moments when you are done spiraling and ready for steadiness. You can find it linked in the show notes. Everything we've been talking about, from foundation, devotion, the plan, plot twist, only works if it actually meets you in your real everyday life, not in theory, not just a journal entry you forget about. So before we move on, I want to just slow this down a bit. Remember, we're not fixing anything, just to give you something steady to stand on, because rooted self-love isn't proven by how much you understand. It's built through what you gently repeat. So let's make this practical. Our self-love two-step is the steady ground practice. It's not to fix you, just to ground you. So step one, name the weather. Notice whether you've been asking your emotions to lead your life, where a feeling decides, whether you show up, whether you follow through, or keep a promise to yourself. Remember, friend, no shade, no judgment, and no correcting, just noticing the weather without rearranging your entire life around it. Step two, choose the route. Now, choose one small, steady action that supports who you are becoming, even if it's not emotionally exciting. Okay, because sometimes the simple things feel so lackluster, but even if it feels simple and even if no one sees it, it still makes a difference, because consistency is love repeated, not forced, but repeated. So let this be something that you keep, not something you perform. That's it. No transformational montage required. Just steady ground beneath your feet. All right, friend, now let me pour into you real quick. Let me just speak directly to you for a moment, because you don't need more motivation. You don't need to be harder on yourself. Heavy on that, friend. Heavy, heavy on you don't need to be harder on yourself. So many times we think that if we're harder on ourselves, that we're giving ourselves accountability, and that's what really makes us move. Friend, there is another way. You can love yourself into your next level. You need a version of self-love that holds you on good days and the hard ones. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are learning how to love yourself in a way that actually lasts. And that kind of love, it's quiet, it's steady, and it's powerful. Your self-love, the way that you decide to love yourself, the way that you decide to honor your word to yourself and keeping those promises to yourself, the way that you decide to love yourself matters so much because that is the mirror that your life is reflecting back to you. You deserve all the love your heart can hold, and it starts with your self-love. Remember, self-love isn't the performance, it's the soil. And everything you want, clarity, confidence, consistency, peace, even your career, your relationships, your dreams, all grow from there. Your relationships, all of the lovely layers you want to experience in your life, it all grows from there. So let your self-love be your foundation. Ooh, that was good. If this episode met you where you are and moved you forward, take a moment and leave a 5-star review. It's one of the simplest ways to support work that actually supports you. Okay? I'll talk to you soon, my beautiful friend. Sending you big virtual hugs.